We're Jack Shava, and you're watching Good Day Paris.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Good Day Paris. I'm Terry.
And I'm Angie.
Thank you for joining us today. We're so excited each week to bring you another great show, and we'd love to hear from you. So please, if there is something you'd like us to share or discuss, or even someone that you'd like us to have on Good Day Paris, please send us an email or log on to gooddayparis.com and let us know what you're thinking about, who you'd like to have on. We're here for you, and we look forward to hearing from you. And a big thank you to all of you who have dropped us a line so far. We so appreciate you.
Yes, that's right. And I want to mention to go to our gooddayparis.com site to like and subscribe. And please check out our past episodes of Good Day Paris while you're there. We love having you along with us.
That's the truth.
So tell your friends and have some fun watching the show. And it is exciting to learn about all the things that are going on in Paris, Henry County, surrounding towns. We like to share all the activities and good information about our area. So, and talking about exciting, on today's show, we have Tony Lawrence with everything you ever wanted to know about pickleball, but we're afraid to ask.
That's right. And I can't wait because I have a lot of things to ask.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I hadn't gotten into it yet. So, and then we have Dave Vance with a new segment that we're calling the Tennessee Informer. It's all about what's going on in Tennessee government at the state level. And Dave really does his homework and will be keeping us informed about things happening now and things that are coming up. So, you know, some of us may not even know about everything that's happening. A lot of us are so busy in our day-to-day lives, we don't have time to keep up with it, and to have something condensed right there for us to give us the information that we need is great. So stay tuned for that. And so we're going to have a really interesting show today, and we're looking forward to hearing about what they both have to share with us.
Yes.
So what about any good stuff to know this week, Terry?
Yes, I do have some good stuff to know.
All right.
So today is National Thomas Jefferson Day. Woohoo!
All right.
And does anybody remember what bill his face is on, the dead president's?
I'll say something wrong.
Well, you can write us. I'm not giving that up.
Okay.
I can tell you this, it ain't enough. Okay, well anyway, it's also National Peach Cobbler Day today and National Scrabble Day, and I love that game. That is a good game. I usually win. Game. I love that game. Also, National Make Lunch Count Day. In other words, don't eat your lunch in your cubicle or in your office. Go out, sit at a park, or get outside, sit on a bench. Yeah. You'll be more productive that way. Get out of the office. And it's National Borenqueners Day. Oh yeah, that's what I said.
What is that?
No, I don't know. I thought Kevin might have made it up, but Borenqueners were a segregated unit of Puerto Rican soldiers who served in the U.S. Army during the Korean War, and they were named after Borenquen, the indigenous Taino, I'm thinking, name for Puerto Rico. Despite facing discrimination and prejudice, the Borenqueners fought bravely and made significant contributions to the war effort, earning numerous awards and commendations for their services. That was such an easy word. I don't know. Don't get old. Anyway,
It's the easy ones that'll trip you up.
I guess it did a good job. And today, April 13th birthdays is also Thomas Jefferson, actor Ron Perlman. He turns 72 years old today. Wow, that's saying something.
Yeah.
And Don Adams, everyone's favorite secret agent, was born today. A great comedian who left us in 2005. And I think, isn't he the one where they sang that song, Secret Agent Man? I don't know. Could be wrong, but I don't know. Oh, maybe not. Okay. Moving right along. So on this day in history, in 1997, Tiger Woods won his first Masters tournament, and he was the first African American and the youngest player ever to win this prestigious event. And in 1870, the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York was founded and became one of the leading art museums in the world. And in 1965, guess who was the best new artist at the 7th Annual Grammy Awards? Does anybody know?
I have no idea.
1965.
1965 was the 7th Grammy. Okay.
I know, I'm
don't know.
wondering.
Who was it?
I don't have a clue. I don't watch Grammys. But I was hoping, okay, Kevin is going to have to disclose this to us because I don't know. The Beatles, I should know that. I should have known that. Darn you, Kevin.
I still can't get over 1997.
Ooh.
There we go. Got some good music in the background.
That's good music. That's my
Yeah.
kind of music.
Tiger Woods has been playing forever. I didn't
Tiger
even realize
Woods.
that.
I know, and I watched him the other day, and he had a limp.
Oh, man.
I know,
Yeah.
but he was so good, and I remember watching him win that. It was really incredible. I was just like, wow, that guy has some kind of talent. And he
Yeah.
could take that ball and he could bounce it right off of the club, and I'm like, I'm impressed. You know, he
Yes.
really was very good, and
Wow.
is still very good.
Yes,
even
he
though
is.
he walks with a limp and he has all these other issues, he's still
Well,
hitting
it's
it
been
out of the
almost
ballpark.
20 more years. So.
Yeah. I know
Wow.
he's not playing baseball. Okay, that was just a. I didn't want somebody to go, does she really think he's playing ball? No, I know he's a golfer. So anyway, one last thing on good stuff to know about your dishwasher. Okay, even if your plates and utensils look spotless, your dishwasher may be dirty. I know. Researchers found that dishwashers often contained bacteria that were linked to health problems ranging from food poisoning to skin infections.
Wow.
Now, who would have ever thought that? You know, we pay so much for those darn machines, we're expecting them to clean it.
Exactly.
Like our dishwasher, our washers should be cleaning our clothes, right?
Right. So they tell us what to do?
Yeah,
All right.
it does. I mean, I hope this works. Food gets left in there and it can start to smell. I don't ever load it that long. I seem to load it and then wash it, and that could be a clue right there.
Right.
But Haley Oliver, a professor of food science at Purdue University, says you end up rewashing your dishes with old dirty water if you let it sit too long. So let that be a lesson to you. If you're going to load your washer, wash your dishes.
Yeah.
Don't put days in between that because you're aggravating this situation. So to clean out trapped food particles, however, in case there's only 2 of you in the house and it does take like 3 days for you to get your dishes done,
Right.
unscrew the screen from the dishwasher floor and remove the filter. And use dish detergent and a old toothbrush or something to scrub the filter and then let it air dry. Oliver suggests cleaning the dishwasher filter every week. That's not happening at my house.
No, it doesn't.
But I am going
at
to
anybody's
shoot
house.
for every month.
Yeah.
At least every month, because I would prefer to just run my dishes when they're dirty and clean them. But after that, you have to clean the inside of the dishwasher, so you're not even through after that. But then you have to fill it with some type of a safe mug, like a glass or something really big and wide, with white vinegar and run it on your normal cycle.
Okay.
I told you normal was only on dishwashers and dryers.
So I have a question.
Okay.
All right. What if we never do this? Just sounds bad with me being a nurse, but
Yeah. Be careful here now.
I know.
Watch them words.
But that's okay. I'm gonna say this. Sometimes we can be too clean.
Yes,
you know,
that's true.
Sometimes the bacteria that we come in contact with helps build our immunity, and maybe if we never do that with our dishwasher,
I think I would like to do it at least once,
Maybe
once every 6 months. But, you know, it is true. The more dirt you get into, the healthier you are because your body is then fighting all those germs. So I'm going to go with the nurse.
I'm going to go with, let's just do it every now and then, though. I like the way you think.
Now and then, yeah.
Right.
So anyway, that is supposed to work on a normal cycle, and it keeps the grease from building up, though, and that is true. You get a soap scum, you get a hard water scum, and then you get grease.
Right.
So yeah, cleaning it out probably is a good thing, but it hasn't killed me, and it hasn't killed you.
No, and even if you are gross, you don't want to look gross.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, but that rewashing with dirty dishes is killing me. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Okay. That's good stuff to know.
It is good stuff to know. And you heard it first right here on Good Day Paris. So I would like to introduce our first guest, Tony Lawrence. I think I have an animation slide that's coming up there, but he's the Director of Parks and Recreation, and he lives in Paris. Would you look at that? And I'm assuming that was a pickleball and a pickleball paddle.
Yes.
So you've been with the department now for the last 22 years
Yes, ma'am.
in some way, shape, or form, but now you're the director.
I've been the director for about the last 10 years.
Oh, that's awesome. Now tell us all about pickleball,
Well,
because I'm really, like I was saying earlier, pickleball illiterate. I've heard it, I've not ever seen it, so.
Got a funny story. About 10 to 12 years ago, my coworker and I were at a conference in Kingsport, and they were at a senior center, and they had all these games put up, and there was two older ladies. We won't say that they were that old, but they were 70 plus.
Yeah, be careful now, I'm pretty old.
70 plus, and they had these paddles, and they're like, "Come play with us." It was 2-on-2, and I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I'll hit a ball with you. I mean, why not?" Well, comes to find out, they were the defending Senior Olympic state champions.
Oh dear.
Wow.
They killed us.
Yeah,
But we enjoyed the sport so much. We brought it back and tried to start it at AP, and it didn't take off. This was several years ago.
Oh.
But about 4 or 5 years ago, it started to become popular in this area, and it has taken off like gangbusters.
Yes.
So these are pickleball paddles. I commonly refer to them as oversized ping pong paddles.
Yeah, they do look a lot like that. Oh,
I've
and they're
never held
hard.
one.
They're
Yeah,
not.
So there's different
Nice.
types. That's
Yeah.
the lower end, and this is a higher end. This is graphite. And basically, it can be anything within that diameter.
Uh-huh.
I
And
want to
then,
feel yours.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
and it's commonly it's the same size as a wiffle ball.
Yeah.
Just a tad harder. They have outdoor balls
Wow.
and
It's
indoor
a lot
balls.
harder than a wiffle ball.
That's an outdoor ball.
Forget the tad.
It's
It's
got a
pretty
lot
hard.
of holes in it. It has a distinctive sound when hit.
Yeah, that's
So
a hard
that's
ball.
distinctive sound. It is taken off like gangbusters. Last year we started our first league. We did 3 leagues basically in the summer. And the way we did our leagues was we took 30 women and 30 men, and the women played on Tuesdays at 5:30 and the men played at 7. And then some of them wanted to do some co-ed, so we did a co-ed league. And then we played between 5:30 and 8:30. We mixed them up. And then we went back to a singles, or not singles, but a men's and women's league again. And it's worked out great. So we play on the 4 courts below the lighted field or past the pool. And
At the Eiffel Tower?
at the Eiffel Tower
Okay.
Park, yes. And we basically put you on a court with people your similar ability. So if you're beginners, we put everybody kind of in a beginner, and if you're more advanced, you go up, rank all the way up to the 4th court. and then you play with a different partner each time. You can play singles or you can play doubles. I like doubles a lot better. You don't have to run and do the whole court.
Much, yeah.
So if you're familiar with a tennis court, it's about half the size of a tennis court. So you're playing on about one side of a tennis court.
Oh, that's nice. That is much smaller.
Yeah. Oh, we've got some things.
Oh, there we go.
So the court dimensions are about 20 foot by 44 feet.
Okay.
And the center area is called the kitchen, which is the non-volley section. So don't get caught in the kitchen. You can go in the kitchen if the ball bounces in the kitchen, but when you play pickleball, typically everybody goes up to that line between the kitchen and the blue, or that blue area, and you kind of just stand right there after the ball's in play. So the most important
why did they call it the kitchen?
Because they don't want you in that area to spike. It's 7 foot back, so you can spike the ball overhead if you're past the kitchen. You don't want to be right up on the net and just slam it on somebody.
I was just wondering what the
there's a lot of rules. I mean, pickleball. Come on.
Okay.
Why is it called pickleball? Why is it the kitchen?
It doesn't look
just a
like
lot of
the kitchen. You got to stay out.
You got to stay out of the kitchen.
Stay out of the kitchen.
Oh, there you go.
And I got sections of my kitchen. I'm like that. I'm like, listen, Abigail,
you got to be from Tennessee
stay out
now.
of this area to this area in the kitchen because I can't get to my stuff to work. That's what it's from. I'm telling you.
I'm telling you.
So
she probably knows.
You start off with an underhand serve, and it has to go cross court.
Underhand.
Basically like tennis. Goes cross court. It has to bounce in that area, and when they hit it back, it has to bounce on the serving side area. And then after that, you can hit it in the air or off the bounce, whatever you want to do. So it's bounce once, bounce twice, and then once it starts to get pretty fast and furious after that.
Kind of like a racquetball almost,
I compare it more so to ping pong.
Oh, ping pong.
So you can hit it in the air in ping pong, or you
Okay.
can let it bounce and hit. So
Right.
it's really fun. We are in our first league for this season, and we have the women's league was full with 30 in it, and the men's had about 28.
That's great.
Wow.
So at the end
Glad to hear
of next week, we kind of do a little round robin tournament. We pair somebody from courts 3 and 4 and somebody courts 2 and 1, and have different abilities, and then we just do a double elimination tournament for the men and women.
Yeah.
Seemed to go over really well. And then we have sign-ups, which we'll put up the last slide I think we got we have sign-ups for the whole summer. So we got May 2nd is the next one.
Oh, here it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
May 2nd is the next one, and then July the 11th, and then the September 5th. I know that the May 2nd, the women only had about 9 spots left out of the 30.
Oh, wow.
So it's, like I said, it's really popular, and then we're going to go with the co-ed July the 11th. Now, it does get warm, in July.
Sure it does.
So a lot of people like to do the 7 o'clock session then.
Earlier, or
But
later.
we've been full in every session we did. We did 3 last year, and the turnout has been so great. We had the summer music in the park. This was 2
Isn't that
years
awesome?
ago. We started that about 2 years ago, and we had a makeshift court up, we were working on the Blue Cross Blue Shield playground, and we didn't have anything. We had 2 courts set up on a tennis court. And then after the concert was over, we were putting some stuff up, and there was 30 plus teenagers sitting lined up the fence waiting to play pickleball.
Oh my
So
goodness.
the best thing
That's awesome.
that's come out of this, we knew the seniors were going to play. We didn't know my age group was going to fall for it hook, line, and sinker. And we had no idea that the teenagers, it's nothing for a family, teenagers, mom and dad out there playing competitively with their kids.
Yeah.
Right.
And every day we go into the park, we see lots of different age people. The college age students absolutely love it. And then when we see these people that are playing pickleball in their retired ages, we're thinking to ourselves, what were they doing before they had pickleball?
Right. Yeah.
Because it's
Wishing
covered
they
up.
had pickleball.
Yeah.
And every night you can go out there. Like you can go out tonight, and it'd be hard to get a court. And we have
Really?
8 now.
Wow.
So the Paris, every time you get something going good, they want a club. So we have a Paris pickleball club now. And
awesome.
our league is a beginner's league. And then the Paris Pickleball Club kind of oversees the more competitive range. So we play on Tuesday nights and they play on Thursday nights. And they're in something that's called a duper league, which ranks your score. So if you play with another duper person, and I don't remember the acronym, but it's basically an organization that keeps up with your level as a pickleball player.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
So
Kind of like a handicap.
exactly.
involved. Yeah.
Right.
So the lowest handicap is a 2, and the highest is a 5. The 5 players, you see them on ESPN
Oh my
playing
goodness.
pickleball. I mean, pickleball is. I watched Michael Phelps play the other day, the Olympic
Oh,
swimmer.
really? Oh my goodness.
Tom Brady has bought a professional team, pickleballers. Yes. So it is, everybody's playing it. It is fun. We have a lot of, all ages of people playing. My son plays in the beginners league he's on the court above me, Fisher, and he's regularly playing with men that are 40 to 70 years old that play
Yeah.
4 or 5 days a week.
Yeah.
He's got quicker reflexes than I do, but
Yeah.
so I'm on a little bit lower. Probably need to go down to court 4 with the beginners, but I'm pretty competitive.
Is there seating out there, like the stadium seating for people to watch the pickleball?
We
or-
have some bleachers up on the hill. We do have a couple of benches in each court. There's not a lot of room in the courts for that, but there are some outside seating. A lot of people bring lawn chairs and kind of sit up around the
Oh,
fences.
okay, so you
yeah.
can bring your lawn
We
chairs.
do have some wind screens on the perimeter, just because it's pretty.
Yes, yeah,
It's pretty
Yeah.
easy to move around.
yeah.
I was wondering if children and adults played together
Yes.
in these, beginner children and beginner adults mix. Is that what you're saying, or?
Yeah, so we typically, since it's so late, we have most of them are. We had some 15-year-olds last year, but it warms my heart to seeing the younger ones interacting with 70-year-olds.
Right.
Because they
That's
don't get
wonderful.
they don't normally get to play a lot of sports where they're going full bore
Yes.
and still competing and playing against some whippersnappers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Whippersnappers, there's a good name.
Uh-huh.
So are these regular cement courts? Okay, so you really need a good pair of shoes. You need something that you can move around easy. And so is there a new fad with pickleball uniforms and all the good stuff?
It's very similar to tennis, yes. So I mean, if you were to Google pickleball, you can get anything you want. They got pickleball shoes. They've got little carriers for their paddles.
Oh, of course.
You got special headbands.
Oh, there you go. Gotta have it.
The
Gotta
skirt.
have Paris on it.
The skirts that hold the balls like tennis.
Right.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, you can get anything you want pickleball
Yeah,
wise.
you can show up in
Do
style.
you have the pickleball paddles and balls that they can get at the Civic Center?
We do.
Okay.
We have them there that you can check them out for free. Of course, we close during the week at 8, and then on Saturdays we're open from 8 to 5, and then Sunday 1 to 5. So those are the hours that you can go get those. The thing about it is,
okay.
if you want to get one of the entry-level rackets, you can pick up a set of rackets for $25
Yeah,
or something,
not too expensive.
and then a sleeve of balls for another 5 or 6. So
Yeah.
once that initial investment is in there,
Excellent
it's free to
exercise,
play,
yeah.
at your leisure.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Does
is really
Walmart
good.
carry these? Do you know? Since it's so
Yeah, they
popular
do.
around here.
They do. We have another sporting goods store, Holmes is carrying. And,
Right.
Yeah.
Homes. And,
Yeah.
I looked on Amazon the other day and I was like, I wouldn't know what to order. So yeah, Homes
So,
can help us out. Our
I
hometown store.
I like these ones that have a little more surface area to
Yeah.
them. You get,
Yeah, get as
just
much
like when you
surface
get the
area as you
oversized,
can.
oversized tennis racket, back when I was
Right.
playing tennis several years ago. But yeah,
That's
we
nice.
have the entry level ones at the Civic Center. Sometimes they're prone to walk off.
Right.
Oh, no.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so they don't sell them, though, over at the annex that's across the street, right? Nothing is sold there.
No,
You
we
can
don't
just-
have them, but we check them out for free. And
You do check them out for free, really? Wow, that's wonderful. You can't go wrong.
I still think that's
So-
so interesting how it just grew all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You said that
Just
it started
overnight.
out like who started playing in Paris and knew that they were playing, and then more people joined them, and how
There
that all
was a
happened?
lot of influence from people moving in from other areas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That were
Gotcha.
used to having it. We had the court set up. We had portable nets at Atkins Porter. That we were always looking for something to do at Atkins Porter after basketball season because it was kind of sitting there unutilized.
Right.
Now we've got it utilized quite a bit. So then now the problem is finding some indoor courts in the
yes.
wintertime because
Yeah.
everything. Wintertime is basketball season, and you know,
Right.
Yes.
everything's already kind of utilized during basketball. So
Well,
that's
pickleball
the,
could be a good second game.
yeah, it would be if we could find them a good indoor spot. So
Yeah.
we have some time available during the morning, and we open the gym up 8 to 10 Monday, Wednesday, and Friday all year long for
Yeah.
pickleball because
Okay.
gives them an option. But the evening, the people that are still working are finding a hard to find spots to play
Yeah. Okay.
in the wintertime. Now, right now, you know, they're out there right now playing.
Oh, good.
So what are like the basic rules then that people know to get started if they haven't played before?
Okay, the scoring is the hardest part.
Oh, good.
And I'm not going to lie. I
Do you
think we had
keep
a
cards
score.
or do you?
No, it's all you announce the score before.
Oh, there you
serve.
go. Here's a pickleball
So-
call-out rules.
Okay. So
Okay.
when you're serving, you always start on the right-hand side. So both people on
Okay.
each team, if you play in doubles,
Okay.
both people get to serve. So you say your score, say it was 0, and then 0 if you're serving, and then 1. But now I'm going to throw you for a loop. When you start the game, the team serving always starts on the second serve. So you're kind of forfeiting your first serve. And the only thing that I can gather of that is it's a little bit unfair advantage to serve first because you're getting to go first, 2 serves.
Right.
So you're getting like a half an advantage.
Okay.
So 0-0 start is what we commonly refer to it as. So you're starting on the second serve. So in that case, you're starting on the left side of the court.
Okay.
So we always encourage people to say the score because
Right.
there's 2 people serving, and the 1 and the 2, I said start for the first person, but when you're serving, once that serve is broke, you have 0-0-1, and then if the point is broke, it's 0-0-2, means for the second server. So if you're the first server and you can only score, it's like old school volleyball. You can only score if you serve.
Right.
Oh,
So if you're on the right-hand side, for example, and you score, then you move to the left-hand side, and it would be 1-0-1. It'd be still the first serve, and you would keep serving until the serve was broke or you hit it out of bounds or what have you, because you got hit in that area. So then when the next person serves, say they score 2 points, it would be 2-0-2, meaning the second server. And then when that breaks, it would go over to the other side, and they would say 0 serving 2, 1 for the first serve.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
It does sound confusing.
Yeah.
It is like
But you
overwhelming.
pick it up. You pick it up.
You do pick it up. Most of the time,
So bring a calculator, right, exactly with you, and keep it in that little pocket.
Most of the time, you just play to 11. Sometimes when you're starting out, you might play to 7. So it's not that bad. We really push the fundamentals and the scorekeeping in the very first couple of days when we do have our leagues. So people will say, "Well, I've never played," and we're like, "That's great." Sharon Sabin is our local pickleball guru.
Oh,
You know Sharon probably. Anyway,
If I saw her, I
she
probably would.
Yeah.
has an extensive background in tennis. She's a really high-ranked pickleball player.
wonderful.
And she helped us start up the league with all her contacts.
Oh,
She
wonderful.
kind of helps with the Duper League on Thursdays. But she's been at every league day that we've had to help with the beginners. She's very good at the instruction and getting them people going, and especially the scorekeeper and little nuances in the game that when you serve the ball, you don't want to run immediately up to the net because it has to bounce on your side coming back. And if you run up too far, and you're not far enough back to let the ball bounce, then you're no man's land.
Yeah.
So you gotta
gotta
let
stay
it
out of
bounce.
the
Double bounce
You gotta stay back, and then after you hit it for the second time, then you can approach the net because you don't have to let it bounce anymore.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. And the double bounce?
Double bounce is
There you
just
go.
it's a point against the
Gotcha,
team. So
okay.
it's like the ball's
Yeah.
dead.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So it sounds like to me, then you're saying that the league, it's not like the bowling league or golf league that if you join and you're no good, that everybody else is going to be mad, like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
This
so
league,
we
you
will
can
put
join
you,
and learn.
We will put you in the
Okay.
appropriate area.
All right.
Everybody's coming back. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that's why the sign-ups are fast and furious because they like it.
Yeah.
So we think about what were these older people doing during the day. Well, what was I doing on a Tuesday? It's 7 o'clock.
Right.
I'm having a lot of fun playing pickleball, where I would have been sitting on the couch,
Watching TV.
watching TV.
Right.
And everybody kind of feels that same way. So they're
Yes.
getting outside and getting
Yeah.
exercise.
Getting outside, that is the ticket, isn't it?
That's
I know
great.
it. Well, one thing I would like to say, since you're the director of the Parks and Recreation, is I'm really hoping to see shuffleboard, because you can't believe how much fun shuffleboard is. And just before I left St. Petersburg, Florida, they had a massive, every church would show up to play. And so there were church groups against church groups, and women against women, and men against men. And it was so much fun and such an easy game. So I hope maybe in the future we can have that too.
We actually had shuffleboard set up, and we still have it set up at Atkins Porter.
Oh, okay.
But that building is utilized for so many different activities. We put it on the side because of the lines. It's still there. We hasn't been utilized in several years. We basically try
we should
everything.
get that going again.
Anything and everything, we'll give it a go and see what the
Yeah.
response is.
Oh, I didn't even know that there was one there. Yeah, I
It
really
hasn't been
enjoyed
utilized
that.
in a long time, but we tried to get it going, working with the Office on Aging, but we just didn't have a lot of success at the time.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you actually are shocked at how much fun it is
Well, yeah.
once you get involved with it.
We were playing it with the Parks guys were playing.
Oh yeah, I mean it is addicting. You know, you can't wait to get there, and I'll tell you, we had so much fun with it. And especially when one church would pay the other, it was so much fun. You know,
Yeah.
lots of talk going on, if you know what I mean.
Trash talk.
Trash
Church
talking.
trash talk,
Yeah,
that's
trash
right.
talking. So yeah, but thank you so much for coming, and I love your this city outfit. That's beautiful. Love the color. Love how it's City of Paris, Tennessee. That's beautiful. I love that.
Got that new logo a few years back and
Yeah.
basically everything the city has, it's on there, so it's nice.
Yeah, it is
Great.
nice.
Very nice. Well, thank you for coming on, Tony. This has been great, and I know
thank you.
a lot of people might have questions.
Yeah,
So.
and if anybody wants to sign up for the leagues and are not sure about it or wants information on the pickleball club
Oh,
or
here we
deeper,
go.
you can call my office. The number's on the bottom of the screen. I'd be glad to call you back. And put you in the
Everybody
right
take a
spot.
picture of that so you can have it on
Or
your phone.
just call the Civic Center. That's the
Right.
same number, the Civic Center.
So
well-
there's 4 leagues this year, and again, it's the Tuesdays, May 2nd through June 13th is the next group, and then July 11th through the 15th of August.
Yeah, a lot of people were eyeing. We had a good turnout for the March League. May 2nd's good. People are wondering about how hot it's going to be in July. So I
Yeah.
think September is going to be the next big one. But
Yeah.
if you have, we play at your own pace. I mean, we put you on the court and you play. We want you to play 3 games in the night. So I mean, but most of the time they're playing 4, 5, 6. They just love playing. So I mean, it's addictive sport. And
Yes.
especially the doubles, you don't have to run as much. But the competitive games, they do last a little while because
Yeah.
they might go to 9 to 11 or 10 to 12. You got to win by 2. So
Yes.
it's pretty fun.
Great. Well, good.
I don't know if you can handle any more business of pickleball, but
Yeah.
I hope this makes it grow even more. So,
We've been pretty successful.
Okay.
all right.
All
well,
right.
thank you for being here with us. You
you're
can
Yeah, you
stay
can
right
stay
there with
yeah,
us.
you can stay right
All
there.
right.
So,
So, I wanted to remind everybody to be sure and join us next week, where one of our guests is going to be Diane McGuire, and find out all about keeping Paris beautiful.
Yes, that's a subject, isn't it? And I'm interested to hear about that.
Yes, that's going to be good. And
so, you've got something to share with us too now, don't you?
Just a little something, Terry.
Okay.
So our church had been doing a Bible study at the end of last year called Experiencing God. And it was a 12-week, 13-week, something like that Bible study. So it went for 3 months, but I think I did mine for like 6 months. So I'm not a quitter. I'll pat myself on the back for that. But it did take me a little longer to get through all of it. But at the very end of the study, it encourages you to go back and look at every single day and see what it is that God was saying to you in the study. And write down in a journal all of the things that God was, you felt like God was telling you to do. So that is the main thing. I know it's not a big deal, but that's the main thing that I wanted to just point out, is that a lot of times we go through studies, we journal things, and then we don't go back and review it, and we kind of lose what we felt like we were going to do, wanted to do, felt like God wanted us to do, whatever. And I'm really finding that this is helpful to go back and look at the things that God had spoken to me as I read the study and read the Word. And, and you know, experiencing God does not have to be some spooky, hokey, you know, weirdo thing. It doesn't. One of the things that really stood out to me was that whenever when we obey God, we come to know Him. So here's the way they say it in the study. It says, I come to know God by experience as I obey Him, and He accomplishes His work through me.
That's right.
So if I want to know God and experience Him, then I obey Him. He accomplishes His work through me, which keeps it going.
Right.
It's like, oh my word, Lord, you actually used me in that situation. You're actually using me where I work. You're using me with my friends and my family, whatever. You see Him working. That's how we experience Him when He works. And that comes from us obeying Him.
That's right.
So
yeah.
My main point, yes, that is cool, but my main point is go back and review. If you're somebody that's journaled or gone through a Bible study or something, go back and review and see what it is God said to you. And the point of doing that is, what have I not done that He told me to do? And I forgot about or didn't want to do or whatever. And go back and obey Him and experience Him. So
that's right.
Anyway.
Very good, and I agree. That is true. I need to journal more. I say that all the time.
I need to journal. I know you love it, don't you? You love
I know. Miss Gerald told me to start journaling. I need to start doing it, and I will.
It's one of those things. So now we want to welcome Dave Vance.
Yes.
Thank you for being here
tonight. We have an animation up here, too.
So Dave lives in Stewart County, and he is one of the leaders of the Stewart, Henry, and Benton County TFA, which is the Tennessee Firearms Association. And he's also the chair of the Stewart County GOP. He's retired military for 22 years. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
And
that's Army.
in the Army. Yes. So, and Dave, you're going to be doing our segment on here, the Tennessee Informer.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Yeah,
Let's take a look at
here,
what we've got here.
Woo. Oh, good music.
All right, yeah, that looks good. So thank you for being here tonight. And let's get started. You said we're going to talk about our state constitution and how things work. And you kind of start where you want to.
Just a general overview.
Okay.
Not covering everything, but you know, a lot of people, if they pay any attention to politics or the government at all, they only focus on the federal government. And of course, that is an issue, it's a concern, but you need to know what's going on in your state level as well. You know, different states have different constitutions. Some states are freer than others. But regardless, even in our state, which is freer than a lot of them, we got a lot of people flocking here from other places.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily live up to everything that's in our state constitution. And we'll talk about that a little bit here in a minute. But I think people need to understand the basics of our state constitution. So, because our elected officials, our representatives and our senators, and of course, they all take an oath to uphold both the U.S. and the state constitution. And so, you know, a lot of people are somewhat familiar with the federal constitution. They could quote a little bit of it, or they're familiar with the Bill of Rights, but most of them have no clue on the state. So I thought I wanted to cover that a little bit. And then, you know, they also take that oath. That oath is really the most important thing for them to uphold. No matter what they said on the campaign trail, the most important thing is that they uphold that oath, because that oath involves our rights.
Right.
Well, it's real easy to lose your rights when you don't know what they are. So that's kind of what I want to hit on a little bit tonight. So first, I'm gonna just read a copy of the oath that the legislators take.
Yeah.
And it's a summarized version here. Do I, state your name, do solemnly swear as a member of in this case, the 113th General Assembly of the state of Tennessee, I will faithfully support the Constitution of this state and of the United States. And I do solemnly affirm that as a member of this General Assembly, I will, in all appointments, vote without favor, affection, partiality, or prejudice, and that I will not propose or assent to any bill, vote, or resolution which shall appear to me injurious to the people, or consent to any act or thing whatever that shall have a tendency to lessen or abridge their rights and privileges as declared by the Constitution of this state, so help me God. Now, talk about abridging. We'll get to the red flag law proposals a little bit later. So right up front in our state constitution, and this is a little miniature copy I actually got from the legislature. And you can get them. You can get with your rep or your senator, and they can get them for you. Article 1 is the Declaration of Rights. So kind of think of our U.S. Bill of Rights, only this has a lot more. It mirrors, it covers a lot of the same things, but then it goes into more detail on other things. And I'm not going to read all 30 some of these.
That's
Okay.
quite a bit. And you don't have it memorized yet.
No, I don't have it memorized, but you know, I do know a good bit. But it has all the same basic things in terms of freedom of religion, freedom of speech, so on and so forth. It has the Second Amendment variation, or I guess you could call the Second Amendment version for the state government would be Section 26, that the citizens of this state have a right to keep and bear arms for their common defense, but the legislature shall have power by law to regulate the wearing of arms with a view to prevent crime. Okay. Now, back up just a little bit because this will come in later. Section 24, that the sure and certain defense of a free people is a well-regulated militia, and as standing armies in time of peace are dangerous to freedom, they ought to be avoided as far as the circumstances and safety of the community will admit, and that in all cases the military shall be kept in strict subordination to the civil authority. And that really ties in with like at the Second Amendment. I mean, let's remember the Second Amendment came after our revolution. We had the first 10 amendments to our Constitution, of course, the Bill of Rights. And so after the war, we had Articles of Confederation. Wasn't working out. We needed something better. We had the Constitutional Convention. But everybody was not in agreement with the Constitutional Convention. There were concerns that it gave too much power to the federal government. They're like, wow, we just fought this tyrannical, powerful government, and now some of you guys want to create the same thing. That was the view of a lot of people. So in order to get that passed, they had to agree that as soon as the first Congress was in action, that they would take up the Bill of Rights. And that's where we got our first 10 amendments, and of course the Second Amendment was in there. Well, they were worried about a federal government that would become tyrannical, like what they just fought against. So the Second Amendment is, of course, it includes personal defense, but it also is defense against a tyrannical government. That's the main focus of it. But it incorporates self-defense. You can use your weapons, of course, to go hunt. If you want to sport shoot, that's fine and well. But it's about protecting the people from a tyrannical government and in individual protection. And so our state constitution kind of mirrors that. And like I say, it has a lot of other things in here. But the interesting thing about this in the state constitution, they put the Declaration of Rights right up front And then if you go along, there's a couple of other things that they point out. And so this goes back to the oath they take. They take the oath to uphold the U.S. and the state constitution. So you got your Declaration of Rights, and then you've got your distribution of powers. That's another protection.
Right.
You've got the legislative department, just like the U.S. Constitution. So
Right.
that their role is to make the laws. Then you have the executive, and then you have the judicial. I'm not going to talk about the judicial, but I'm going to talk about the executive just a little bit. Legislative makes the laws. Our governor does not make the laws.
No.
Right.
That's not his role
No.
to make the laws.
Right.
And in Tennessee, a lot of people don't realize this because of so much deference that's paid to the governor, not just this one, but
Yeah.
most of them,
Right.
that we actually have a weak governor because a simple majority can override the governor in Tennessee. Some states it takes 2/3 or 3/4 to override a veto of the governor. Not in Tennessee. Simple majority will get it done. Now, the governor can make recommendations for legislation, all right? But he is not supposed to be one of the main legislators, and we'll get back into that here in just a little bit. The other thing that's in here, and this ties back to their oath, because remember, they're upholding this Constitution. You got the Declaration of Rights right up front. And if you go back to section, let's see, where is it here? Commander Chief. All right. Section 16. And actually, this is in Article 3, Section 16. The Declaration of Rights hereto prefixed is declared to be part of the Constitution of the state and shall never be violated on any pretense whatever. And to guard against transgression of the high powers we have delegated, we declare that everything in the Bill of Rights contained is accepted out of the general powers of the government and shall forever remain inviolate. That means all the things that are in your Declaration of Rights, which includes Section 26, your right to keep and bear arms, they're not supposed to legislate on those
Right,
things.
that's
Okay,
wow,
they're saying that
forever.
this is set aside. So
Yeah.
your legislation has to be on things other than that. So think back to COVID
Right.
with what our state did, with what our governor did,
Right.
and with what our legislature. Actually, the legislature wrote that law several years ago. They wrote it. It wasn't specifically for the pandemic. The emergency powers already existed. They were really more for a natural disaster than a
Right.
so-called pandemic, scandemic, whatever you want to call it. But they applied them anyway. And I'll mention this because it'll be relevant later.
Okay.
Senator Randy McNally was the Senate guy who passed that legislation way back, and we'll talk about him a little more in a minute. So these things are supposed to be set aside. So when we elect people, they take the oath to uphold all this. That's the most important thing they do is uphold that oath, all right? And so we have to watch them. You know, a lot of people, they only focus at election time.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
people can come around and politicians know all the right things to say.
Right.
Especially if they've been elected once already. After that first time they're in, they know all the right things to say. And so they know how to handle you if you don't pay attention to what they actually do.
And they would know.
Yeah. And so we elect them, and then a lot of people just forget. But our sessions are from January to either April or May of every year. Okay, it's a
Right.
2-year session, and they
Right.
get reelected. That's the time to watch them. That's the time to evaluate, are they doing what they said they were going to, and most of all, are they upholding their oath?
Right.
If they're not upholding their oath, if they don't respect your rights, they're not fighting to defend your rights, they need to go. And I know it takes a lot of time, especially if you work, you got kids, it's hard to do, but you have to do it.
Yes.
I mean, if you don't follow, you're not going to know what's going on. And then election time rolls around, you go to an event, you hear them, you see them somewhere, they're going to say all the right things. Well, generally speaking, unless they do something really, really great or really, really stupid and make the headlines, you're not going to know about
You
it.
wouldn't even
Right.
know.
Okay, so
right.
you're thinking he must be doing okay, he's not in jail.
Yeah.
I'm not watching him on TV, he's not being hauled off, he must be good.
Yeah.
Flying under the radar.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, I will give our state government credit for one thing. They do have a pretty good website because if nothing else, it records all of the committee meetings and all of the votes.
Ooh, so we can watch
So
all
you
that.
you can go back. You don't have to watch it in real time. You can go back and look it up
Yeah,
and
in
see,
your
hey, here's
leisure.
what went on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that's the basis of what they are supposed to do at a minimum.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about the red flag laws that are now being proposed. Of course, we had the murder in the school up in Nashville of 6 people a couple of weeks ago. And it's terrible. And we hate to see things like that happen. But every time something like that happens, a lot of the people want to, it's the guns.
Well, it clearly isn't the gun.
Right, it's clearly the people. But we always have that issue every time something like this happens.
Yeah.
Well, so after this, we had, incidents up there in Nashville. We had a lot of protests, a lot of them orchestrated. I think a lot of people were from out of town, though not all of them. And we had some disturbances within the legislature, and I don't know if you guys were following it. We had some people removed, and now they're put back in, which is a whole other disgraceful episode. That they can actually be allowed to be back in there. But now the governor is talking about a red flag law, and some of the legislators are talking about a red flag law. So when you hear red flag law, just kind of in a nutshell what that is. Now there's about 20 different states across the country that have different variations of what are known as a red flag law.
Oh boy, that makes it hard.
And it does vary. But so the main thing is this: the red flag law focuses on the gun. It doesn't focus on the person per se. So let's just say somebody made the accusation that they think you are dangerous, a danger to yourself or somebody else for whatever reason.
Right.
Okay. They don't have to prove that you are actually dangerous in the places where they pass these red flag laws.
Oh, wow.
What happens is, and most of the times when they have the hearing, and a lot of times it could be law enforcement, it could be an ex, boyfriend, spouse, whatever, girlfriend, whatever you have, whatever the situation
Doesn't even
is.
have to have
yeah,
a
and it could
reason. Like,
a
could
neighbor
I
that
just
you've
say,
had a
that
problem
guy
with.
is dangerous.
Yeah, a neighbor you have an issue with.
Yeah.
They come in, and we've seen this, other variations of this with all the swatting that happens. Somebody gets called all of a sudden 3 o'clock in the morning, you've got people in your bedroom with guns and badges and flashing lights and setting off flashbangs, and oh wow, we got the wrong place.
Oops, sorry.
Okay, well that happens. So we also have with the red flag, they don't tell you they're coming to get your guns. And there are people who've been killed in these situations.
Oh, dear.
So you don't have an opportunity to defend yourself legally. It's not like it has to go before a judge with you there. It's not like you have legal representation. They take your guns. Then you have to prove that you're not a threat.
Oh my goodness.
And of course, you've got a couple different things that are expensive. Number one, you're going to have to get a lawyer.
Right.
You're going to have to probably get an expert, mental health expert, to say, hey, this guy's fine, whatever. All those costs are now on you. Instead of the government proving that you are a threat, on the word of somebody else, they're taking your weapon.
Gee, so, a scenario could look like somebody going through a divorce.
Absolutely.
The wife points at the husband and says, this guy is dangerous.
Yes.
And boom, now he is burdened and he has to get a lawyer. He has to prove he's not dangerous. This was just her anger out of whack.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Or just never have his guns again.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Well, and imagine too, if you're in a job that requires you to use a gun. So now you're out, let's say you're a police officer.
You're out
or
of a
you're in
job.
some other profession that requires you to carry a gun.
Oh boy, I
Now,
don't like that.
Now they're hitting you twice.
Yeah.
So that's what happens with the red. Now, like I say, they all vary from state to state. But the focus is on the gun. It's not focused on treating that person who may be a threat. And a person who could be a threat.
Like the children who had, like the guy that had the gun.
Right.
He's actually the threat because that gun was fine in the drawer it was in before he picked it up.
Right.
But once the child picks it up or the person picks it up, now they are the threat, not the gun is still just the gun, like this coffee cup is just a coffee cup. But if I pick it up and throw it in your face, it's a weapon.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But don't go at the cup and stop making coffee cups. It would be me that would actually have the anger issue or the issue. So I don't see how anybody, could even possibly blame a gun when a gun just sitting on a table is a gun, even though it's a frightening thing, I think. I mean, I've never even handled one, really. But if they're put away like they're supposed to be put away, and they're in a safe place like they're supposed to be until you have a need to use it,
Right.
the gun is never the threat. How could anybody come up with that idea? That it's not the
and
person.
Red flag laws are basically about gun control. They're not about even helping that person. That person that loses the gun in a red flag scenario, it's not like, okay, we're going to put you into treatment to get you squared away so you can. No, it's all about taking the gun. Now, currently, Tennessee has emergency protection orders to where if you think there's somebody that has a problem, there is a procedure, and this is under the mental health statutes in our Tennessee code. There is a procedure where you can have that person evaluated. So you can keep them actually for up to 2 weeks.
Is that like a Baker acting kind of a thing?
Excuse me?
Baker acting, where you Baker act the person?
I'm not sure familiar with what
Okay, well, in Florida there was something called the Baker Act. If somebody was a threat to themselves or others, you could call and say, but you had to have proof.
Right. You have to have proof, and
Yes.
then they get evaluated. Okay?
Right, and then they
so
get
after
evaluated.
you get evaluated first before there's any legal action taken, and then the action is taken, or before the action is taken, they have to prove that you are a threat to yourselves or others. And
Now, how do they make that evaluation, Dave? Do they put you in a facility and watch you?
Well, they would have, initially they would start off, initially they can do it for like 48 hours. They can get extended if they need to up to 2 weeks.
Into a jail?
No, not a jail.
Into a
No,
facility?
A facility.
A health
They're-
facility?
Yeah, they're going to have
Okay.
a psychiatrist do an evaluation.
Okay, got it.
And say, okay, is there anything here, any problem? And as I understand it, with certain procedures, they can keep you up to 2 weeks. But,
Whoa,
well, but that's, it doesn't
Yeah.
normally take that long to figure out if there's
if somebody has an
here.
issue, right?
But they're not taking your weapon. They're evaluating you. They're finding out if you need treatment. And if you need legal representation, the state provides it. Whereas with the red flag laws, that's all on you.
It's all on you.
All on you. And the decisions are made when you're not even there. You don't even know in many
wow.
cases. Now, the governor and some of the others who said, well, we need to look at red flag laws, but we have to do it constitutionally. They're mutually exclusive. Okay, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing that really gets me. This girl that killed these people, she has a manifesto we haven't seen yet.
Oh dear.
Okay, the FBI still I don't even know why the FBI has it, because it wasn't a federal issue, but they have it. We haven't seen it. We don't know anything about the effect that some of the drugs that she may have been on, because she was a transgender in her transition process.
Right. Oh, so
we don't know what
medicines
those medicines may have,
They
could have
could have
affected
been
her.
responsible for all this.
Do we know if the doctor treating her ignored signs that he should have alerted somebody? Hey, make sure that this person doesn't
Is
have
okay.
access to a weapon.
Right.
Oh, by the way, make sure that it's recorded that she's not allowed to buy weapons.
Right.
All right?
Right.
They already have those things are already supposed to be reported. Now, part of what the governor wants to do is speed that process up as far as reporting these things. Nothing wrong with that, but you got to be careful even on the mental health issues, because, okay, is somebody who's depressed necessarily a threat to themselves or others? And is depression always a permanent long-term issue?
No.
So you got to be careful with how they do this. And I personally, I don't have a lot of confidence in even our state government on issues like this. So that's what they're pushing for, but there's not a bill yet. Right now, all we've got is the executive order by the governor to kind of make these things happen. And of course, he wants the legislature to get together and come up with something that passes constitutional muster and supposedly makes us safer. But, once again, inanimate objects are not the problem. It's the people behind them.
It's the heart of the person.
So that's a big issue right now, but something to keep in mind. There was a Bruin decision in the Supreme Court last year. And the Bruin decision, in reference to the Second Amendment, in a nutshell, if the restriction in the state, if that type of restriction that many states still currently have, because they haven't gone through the whole process yet, or if that restriction or a very similar restriction did not exist in 1791 when the Second Amendment was ratified, then basically the court's saying you can't do it. Now, this Bruen decision came down in June of last year.
Wow.
So, but not everybody just complied immediately. They're finding out other situations where, okay, this runs into Bruen and we can't do this anymore on a lot of different things, even having to do, for instance, with orders of protection. So it used to be if you had an order of protection, some sort of domestic issue, well, now you can't buy a gun. Well, they had a court case just a while back. They're saying, no, you can't use that criteria anymore. Other things that have gone on that after a while, eventually, Bruen is going to give us a truer version of what the Second Amendment was intended to be. Now, in Tennessee, when the governor's so-called constitutional carry passed a couple years ago, he said he called it constitutional carry, but it really wasn't, because you couldn't carry the weapons in all the same places that you can right now with an enhanced carry permit. And the law is still on the books that says in Tennessee it's a crime to go armed. Intent to go armed is a crime. Your handgun carry permit is basically, it gives you an exception to that, all right? It's a defense against it.
But not everywhere, I understand.
Not everywhere.
Okay.
But the thing is, I can carry with an enhanced carry permit, I can carry more places than somebody under the governor's so-called constitutional carry, permitless carry. They still require them to meet the same standard as my enhanced carry, but they have to be able to prove that. Well, they don't have an enhanced carry, so they can't prove that.
Oh,
So
wow.
they could still be stopped. And so it was oversold. It was really not what he claimed it to be. Plus, they refused to take the law off the books that said that it's a crime with the intent to go carry. So if you're telling me in one breath that we have constitutional carry in Tennessee, but then the code that you refuse to change says it's illegal to go armed with the intent to go armed, to carry a weapon.
That's confusing.
Yeah. So, and that's the other thing too. Bruen passed last June. Session started in January. And one of the things that the TFA worked on this year was basically all of the things that Bruen said. We worked through several different bills to try to get those addressed. And they are fighting us tooth and nail. At this point in the time, we've only got probably another few weeks of session. We don't have one bill through both the House and Senate that is going to pass in that form, that needs to pass to correct these. For instance, one of the best bills we still have left is Senate Bill 1503, which is by John Stevens. He is our senator. And House Bill 1005 by Rusty Grills. Now, the House version removes the intent to go armed clause, allows long guns, and I can't, it changes the language on the carry permits from handguns to firearms. The Senate version, they stripped out through amendments most all of that. So it's a wasted, I mean, it's really not a good, it didn't end up being a good bill.
Right.
And so we've got a few weeks left. We'll see how that turns out because they passed two different versions. They'll have to go to a conference committee and reconcile them. But the thing is, this administration, Bill Lee, and especially on the Senate side, Randy McNally, they have fought tooth and nail against basically granting or recognizing our Second Amendment rights, even though the Supreme Court has said this is now the law of the land.
Right.
Now,
I'm going with the Supreme Court.
well, and here's the thing: I don't always agree with the court, and there's times that I think we should just flat out ignore them. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I'll take my TFA hat off when I say that. But a few years ago, 4, 5, 6 years ago, when they passed the whole gay marriage thing, Tennessee folded in less than an hour. No fight at all. Governor Haslam at the time told the Attorney General essentially make it happen.
Yeah.
Now, Tennessee Constitution, the legislatures write the laws. So even if something comes out from the Supreme Court, it's not the governor's place to direct those kind of things. They should have impeached him, but they didn't. But they folded, boom, just like that. But they fight us tooth and nail on the Second Amendment. Now, I told you a minute ago about our basic rights and how they're supposed to defend those. So the way it works up there is it's really frustrating. They have committees, which that's not uncommon, but the committees are not necessarily just to make it easier to control all the legislation. They use committees to kill bills.
Yes, right.
Because if something
obvious.
makes it through committee, odds are it gets to the floor, it's going to pass. So it's not just an opportunity for people that might oppose the legislation that you support. What the leadership does, especially on the Senate side, especially McNally, this is not new. He didn't create this. It's happened on the House side. I think probably the last speaker was worse than this one, but this one's got its issues as well. What they do when they don't want something to pass. Now remember, when lawmakers put things forth, they're representing their constituents.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
When
That's
they don't
why
want something to
we
pass,
vote them in to do that.
So the way it has to work, you submit something to the committee. There's a little process before that as far as getting the bills ready, but it goes through the committee. In the House side, it's got a lot more committees to go through. It's got committees and subcommittees. Some of them are ridiculous. Some of them got 15 people. Okay?
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
Senate, you don't have as much, but you got to get a version of both the bills through both the House and the Senate. Well, the game they'll play is when they really don't want something to go. One of the games they play is they will just tell them. For instance, not long ago, and with McNally, and he's famous for doing this. And you talk to anybody who's followed politics in Tennessee, and they'll tell you, they'll back you up what I'm telling you. They will say, don't give the motion a second, because when it comes into committee,
it needs a second, right?
You present your bill. The chairman of the committee will say, do I have a motion? So you got to have a motion.
Yeah.
Do I have a second? You got to get at least a second
You have
to
to
even
have a second
explain.
to move it forward, right?
And if you don't get a motion or a second,
Right.
you're done. So McNally is famous for doing that. Now, I don't know if you guys heard about the issues with Senator McNally a few weeks back with his correspondence online with this. McNally's like 79 years old. This correspondence online with this gay 20-year-old who I guess he'd been going back and forth with since the guy was 17. Now, not saying there's any physical relationship, just stuff back and forth on Instagram. Here you got a 79-year-old guy basically making complimenting pictures of a 20-year-old gay guy who's doesn't have any clothes on or doesn't have much in the way of clothes on.
Very unbecoming.
Yeah. Well, when that's brought up, his first response is, well, I talk to a lot of people, I correspond to a lot of people, and I just like to, all he said was, I like to encourage people. So I don't know what he was trying to encourage, but I didn't get a good impression from that. Well, it kept going, and things got worse. Well, we thought something was going to happen. We thought the Senate might actually have enough decency to say, hey, guys, it's time for you to go home, or at least we're going to remove you from the position of lieutenant governor.
Obviously, he's not a sane
Which I think most people in Tennessee would agree that he needed to go.
Right.
He did a straw poll. He did it internally, did a straw poll with the other senators. And
What is a straw? Are we talking straws?
No,
okay.
it's something that he initiated. It was not a legal action or it wasn't a Senate maneuver by other people in the Senate. Hey, let's take a vote to see if we want to keep him or not.
Okay.
He did an internal straw poll and reported that there were 19 senators that wanted him to stay and only 7 that wanted him to leave.
And he did that himself.
Yeah, well, he hired somebody to do it.
Right.
And so some of the
Lord.
senators did, come out and say, yeah, I voted to support him and blah, blah, blah. And then, so I can't tell you, because they didn't, it was secret. It was a secret ballot, even although some admitted.
Right.
I can't tell you who exactly voted to get rid of him. But I know that we only had 7 senators that had the decency to vote to get rid of this guy. All right. I can think off the top of my head of 5 of them. I can't figure out who the other 2 might be. So nothing else happened. The very next day, there were 2 bills going through, I think the Judiciary Committee, but no, excuse me, State Government Committee on the Senate side. One of the bills was by Senator Hensley. It was another bill that would put more restrictions on the drag shows.
Okay.
Got a motion? No second.
No second.
The other bill was a bill by Senator Bowling, a nullification bill. And of course, nullification, we could do a whole show on nullification, but in
Let's
short,
do it.
in short, nullification is, there are certain things that are in the state arena and there are certain things that are in the federal arena, okay? Even though we defer to them on too many things, and in some cases we're just addicted to the federal money.
Right.
We still have a 10th Amendment and we still have sovereignty.
Right.
Okay. And so this was a bill that would have, said, hey, look, here's what's going to happen. Here's some different processes that we can use when the federal government overreaches. And it gave several different options. It was already moving in the House. Got a motion? No second.
Okay, so we only have so much time left.
Right.
What should we do as responsible adults in the state of Tennessee to help bring some sanity back into this whole process?
Well, let's talk about the red flag first.
Okay.
So call your representative and call your senator. Now, Henry County is split as far as their state reps. Some of them have Jay Reedy, most of them have Tandy Darby. Jay Reedy's not going to support a red flag bill. So I don't think we have to worry about that. Darby, call Darby.
Call him. Okay.
Senator Stevens. Now, I'm not a huge fan, but to his credit, he did run 1503 this year. And he
Okay.
made an honest effort to get it passed.
Okay.
Probably because he's a lawyer and he knows that it's going to pass eventually, even if the court has to force it, like they've already done with the 18 to 20-year-old issue. The state has already been told, when they passed the Bill Lee's so-called constitutional carry a couple years ago, it did not include 18 and 20-year-olds. They sued, and now with the Bruin decision, so the state has so many days. They were told last week or the week before last, you got 90 days to comply, and the AG's not fighting it. All right, so Stevens, I don't think he would, after supporting that, I don't think he would, go for a red flag bill. But
Call him.
couldn't hurt to call him.
Yeah.
Couldn't hurt to call him. As far as there's no, at this point in time, I think we do need to let our senators know. We do need to let, if you're not happy with having Randy McNally, who, by the way, the other thing he did just right after this event, so he does this little straw poll, he stays in power. Next day, we get no seconds on 2 important pieces of, no seconds, which that means those constituents, their senator was shut out. That means those constituents were shut out, all right? And they do that all the time. Does that, and then right after this incident in the schools, McNally's talking red flag. And McNally, remember the guy who wrote the bill that created the emergency powers that are all unconstitutional that we gave the governor during COVID. So you might just want to, if you're not happy with who we have and the fact that that guy's still up there, hey, call Senator Stevens and ask him, did he vote to keep McNally?
Right. Okay.
That's a question for him. I don't know if he'll answer that or not, but that's a good question for him.
We'll call him.
We have to keep up with the legislation. The TFA, you don't have to be a member to get the alerts. You can go online, and they've got all kinds of resources, more than I could ever put out here in a 30-minute or even a 2-hour block, on red flag laws, on the Bruin decision, bills. They track all the bills. Mostly it's gun bills, but they'll put out some others that they are following, and you can get weekly alerts of what's going on.
Okay.
This is
important.
Make the calls.
Yes. We need to
You can get on the
protect-
website, and I could,
Right.
if you want to sometime, I can show you how it's easy to navigate that website to check on the bills.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, this is interesting because we do need to protect our children. Our children
Absolutely.
are who we hand the baton to once we are gone. And I feel horrible knowing my grandkids and great-grandkids might have to deal with people like that, you know, very unbecoming spirits and unwholesome. So, yeah, I think that we need to take a look at that. And this is a bipartisan issue. I don't think
Right.
it has anything to do with Republican versus Democrat. I think this is something that we all love our children, and we want to take care of the kids in the future. And we don't want to just send them out, you know, when we can't trust what's happening.
Right.
You
And
know.
speaking of that, the Tennessee Firearms Association, we're nonpartisan.
Right,
Okay,
exactly.
We're all about the
Good.
Second Amendment.
Yes.
There's no party requirement.
Right.
We're not. We are not part of the GOP, or the GOP's not aligned with us.
That's
we're
right.
all about the Second Amendment. You know, TennesseeFirearms.com is the website. I got a couple pamphlets here. I'll
great.
leave you
Okay.
guys. Here's one
Okay.
if you want.
All righty.
And
Thank
we
you.
do meet the first Thursday of every month. Normally when we meet in Henry County, which I think is where our next meeting will be, normally at Holly Fork, but not always. When we meet in Stewart County, we meet at the Visitor Center, Stewart County Visitor Center,
And it's always a Thursday?
first Thursday of every month. First Thursday of every month.
That's an issue.
Yeah, and now Benton County, they may be getting their own separate chapter soon. We're still working on that, but we do have people in Benton County that are in the TFA. And we have an annual fundraiser every year at the Farm Bureau Center in Lebanon, at the fairgrounds in Lebanon, Tennessee. And we have different speakers come in. We have different things for sale, different different auctions. And
Yes.
it's a good event.
Okay.
Well, yes. Now, I'm looking forward to watch this the Tennessee Informer, because this has really been interesting. And it's something that I really personally am gaining information about, you know, and being a new Tennessee person, you know, new, and a lot of people are, because boy, this area has
Yes.
grown. Just drive down Mineral Wells. You got to wait 2 times for the light.
And here's,
When we moved here 3 years ago, it was just slip right through that thing,
Right.
you know?
and a
So,
lot of people that come from these other states,
Yeah.
you know, when you get people from California and New York, you have to be careful. But now, having said that, I know some people from those states who have been here for a good while, and some of them, I mean, they are some of the best fighters we have on these different
yes,
issues.
yes.
And a lot of them get here and they're thinking, I thought I was moving to a red state. And they
Right.
find out the people are red, the government's purple.
Yeah,
I was
Yeah,
thinking
that's
the same
very
thing
sad
as you
to
were
hear.
talking, that a lot
Yeah.
of people move here with an expectation that things are different, and like
Mm-hmm.
you said, it,
Yeah. The thing, but the difference between Nashville and DC is the dollar amounts are smaller, but the people are just as corrupt.
oh,
Right.
yes,
And,
yeah.
and
that
we have
everywhere.
rhinos
Yes.
to compare
Right.
with any.
Sure.
And McNally would give McConnell a run for his money any
Right.
day of the week.
Right.
So we just have to, and we've got to get better people in. Is what
Yes,
we
we
have to
do.
do. But then you have to watch them. You got to
Responsible.
treat them like that. You know, it's not like some guy takes your daughter out for the first time and then you just trust him from here on out. No, you watch them like a hawk, right? That's the way you got to treat
better
your
believe it.
politicians. Is okay, you're okay so
yeah.
far,
Yes,
Yeah.
thank
but I don't
you.
trust
Yes.
you. I got to watch you.
That's
Yes.
right. Well, that's true. And
Well,
you
you've-
do.
Yeah, you've lived up to your name, Tennessee Informer,
Yes,
already.
you sure
so-
have.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you
I
so
appreciate
much.
the opportunity.
I'm looking
Yes.
forward to what you have to share in the future. Thank
Yes,
you for being
thank
here.
you
Thank you
so
for having
much,
me.
Dave, and thank you so much.
Yeah,
also,
thank you
Tony.
too,
Yes,
Tony,
it's
for
just
being
been
here.
wonderful, wonderful. Lots of news, different venues here of news, but I mean, really great.
Well, I may need to take up pickleball to work off some frustration
There we go.
He can help.
and lose some pounds.
Yeah. Well, thank everybody for watching tonight, and we just want to encourage you again to be here next week for our show when we have Diane McGuire.
Yes.
And who knows what else we'll have, so just
Yep.
stay tuned and find out. We
right.
promise you will not be disappointed. So we just want to ask you to
Have a good day, Paris.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.